Hello and welcome to another edition of It's About Money. I'm Nanette Nokan and thank you for joining us. There's a lot of awareness campaigns out there and it's a good thing because we're very busy with our lives and we all need to stop and think about what the potential medical risks out there are. Today we're fortunate to have a guest. Her name is Erna Lewis.
Hello.
Erna is the founder of Erna's Hope. And we get a lot of publicity and word about certain diseases such as breast cancer and the like, but we don't hear about ovarian cancer. So here is Erna to help us talk about it and discuss Erna's Hope. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
So what got you started with Erna's Hope?
Well, I have ovarian cancer, and when I was re-diagnosed with the cancer, that it had spread to other parts of my body, I decided to let women know about ovarian cancer and the signs and symptoms. By doing that, we created Erna's Hope, and we raise money by selling bracelets for awareness. And in the bag with the bracelet, we have a card that says the signs and symptoms of ovarian cancer and what you should do, what you should ask your doctor. And with the profits that we make from these bracelets, we make comfort bags, which then we give to patients at the Lattimore Drive chemotherapy office, and also on the 5th floor at Highland Hospital.
That's wonderful. Actually, let's start with the bracelets. You've got some on display. I'm wearing one.
Yes.
So you're wearing one, of course.
I am.
So is the color, is there something that's significant?
Ovarian or an OBGYN gynecological cancers are teal color.
I see.
Cervical, uteral, endometriosis. They're all teal colored.
I see. So that's why you chose
That's
that
where
color.
the teal came from, yes.
And now where did the idea of the bracelet come from?
Well, it all started with a friend of mine. She didn't like wearing the rubber bracelets like the Neil Armstrong, I'm sorry, Lance Armstrong, Live Strong ones. They were too big on her. So I went home and I made an elastic bracelet, and she loved it. Showed it to her sisters and her friends, which was great because it was getting out the awareness. She wasn't just telling them about the bracelet, she was also informing them of ovarian cancer and what the color meant and what the bracelet stood for. So that was, it just like clicked. It was like, wow, that's wonderful. We want to get the word out. We want to let people know. And how simple, by a piece of jewelry. So a number of women from our church, we all got together after service one day and went to Rayanne's house and just started making bracelets.
Oh, how neat.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
And that's great too. The women get together and talk and have, fellowship and all that. And
Oh,
make
definitely.
these beautiful bracelets. They're actually very pretty, very
you.
stylish. So
Yeah.
I like them.
And they're
very
all
much.
unique because there's many different women from many different age groups, so they all have their own style and something I may not like, but you love. It's great. We have not two of the same bracelet, so it's very
nice.
unique.
Unique, okay.
Yes.
So collectors, you could actually collect a handful of them, right?
Oh, yes.
A bracelet full. Now with this, it comes in a little plastic bag, and
Yes.
there's a card inside.
Yes.
What does the card say?
Well, the card has Erna's Hope on the front, ovarian cancer awareness, and my name and my email address and my cell phone number. So if anyone wants to call or talk to me and ask any kind of questions about ovarian cancer that I can help them with. And then on the back of the card, it has the signs and symptoms, which I think is the most important thing.
Okay. All right, and we could probably post that on our television show later on, so
Okay,
people
great.
can think about
Great.
it. But more importantly, people are thinking about the potential risk because it takes a long time to diagnose and hard to diagnose.
It's
ovarian
very
cancer,
hard. They
right?
call ovarian cancer the silent killer, which is an awful thing to think of, especially if you're diagnosed with that disease, because a pap smear does not detect it. I mean, we go to our OBGYN and have pap smears thinking that we're now okay, we're tested for cancer. And unfortunately, because your ovaries are inside so deeply, it doesn't detect that. You either need a CA-125, which is a blood test. It determines whether or not there are it's a tumor marker. It determines if there's tumors, cancer tumors in your body. A lot of doctors don't like using that because it can throw a lot of false positives or false negatives. If you have an infection, like a yeast infection, it may detect a higher number.
I see.
A range for a woman is between 30 and 35 for your CA-125. Mine was up in the 4,000s.
Oh my goodness.
When I was detected, yeah. So
Oh my goodness.
it's a good indicator for myself.
I see.
The only other way that it could be detected is an internal ultrasound, which a lot of doctors don't do unless you have a lot of pain or you have a family history of ovarian cancer.
So it's not a routine exam.
It's not a routine.
Okay.
Unfortunately, because the blood test is approximately $60, and I want to say the ultrasound is a couple thousand, whereas a chemo, I had 6 chemos and a surgery the first round, and they were $20,000 a piece. That's quite a bit of money for my insurance company to put out. If we can try to do something preventative before it gets that far, like I believe I said, I was in stage 3C, which is quite high. 4 is the highest stage. If it can be caught in stage 1, a woman has a better chance of living.
Sure.
So
yeah, and you're right. It's more expensive to treat the disease as opposed to try to prevent it by identifying it. That's great. Now, the bracelets are $7.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you come up with $7 as the price?
Well, we wanted to make it more for awareness than the money. We wanted to make them affordable, so women didn't think twice about $7. Really isn't that bad. If someone can't afford that, of course, we'll give them a bracelet. Like I said, it's more for the awareness, to let them know. And for conversation.
Sure.
Like I just said, that's how it started. I was at the dentist this morning and someone noticed it, and that in turn allowed me to talk about ovarian cancer.
Sure. Actually, they're so pretty. I've got some relatives out of town, so I sent them to other places, in New Mexico and Arizona. And
wonderful.
So hopefully it goes beyond the local
Absolutely.
channels.
That's great.
So.
That's wonderful. Thank
now,
you.
You're welcome. With the money, what happens with that? I mean, you talked about the comfort bag. So let's let's talk about
These are some of the items from our comfort bags.
Okay.
Going through chemotherapy myself, I tried to think of what I needed, what made me more comfortable. Unfortunately, with my first round of chemo, I lost all my hair, so I didn't like wigs. They were scratchy and irritated me, so I wore a lot of hats. I have a nice woman. She's making these for us, and also at the Gilda's Club on Alexander Street. She has them there.
I see. Okay.
They're reversible and th're loose fitting,
I see.
so they're
That's
very
more fashionable,
nice.
and it's in the color scheme.
Yes, that's a teal.
That's great.
We had the my nurse at Roswell. Her aunt is older, so she made a lot of knit hats for us.
Nice.
I know that personally, I like to listen to music, so we put a CD player and, of course, batteries in each one.
And batteries too, great.
Yes. And then one of the drug companies had given us some chemotherapy tapes, which it makes you sit back and relax and just listen to the music and imagine the chemo going through your body and working on those tumors. So I thought that was wonderful. We then found some, nice musical tapes also that we put in there. Your skin gets dry, so we put some lotions in there. Your lips get dry, so we put a chapstick in there. Your mouth gets dry, so we tried to think of little candies that you could suck on. We put a little stress ball, so if you just want to sit there and relax. And
Better than pinching yourself too much.
Exactly. We had some water bottles made. A journal. A journal is something very important. I mean, your body is going through so many changes, and you may wake up in the middle of the night and think of something and want to ask the doctor in 2 or 3 days, but you forget about it in 2 or 3 days. So you wake up in the middle of the night, you have the journal right there next to you, or your bed on your nightstand, and you write something down. You just jot it down. So we like to put a little journal in there also.
That's great.
Lots of little goodies, some toothbrushes, some toothpaste.
That's great.
Like I said, we just tried to think of different things that would make the women more comfortable.
That's fantastic. So
Thank
really,
you.
you're touching the lives of the people who have the disease, and also touching the lives of women who come together and put the bracelets together, so you could have the money to use to purchase the items for the comfort bag.
Absolutely.
That's great. Now, do you have to put in your own money to do this project? Or?
In the beginning when we started, we did, but now we're doing very well. We've had 2 fundraisers so far. We had a bowling tournament in the end of August, because September is Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. And then just recently, a few weeks ago, we had a concert at Water Street Music Hall. So we raised some money that way also.
Oh, great.
So it's been wonderful.
So you're always thinking. That's
always,
great.
always.
So
we want to get the word out. And that's the most important thing, is to get the word out.
Now, how has the project, how has Earnest Hope made a difference in your own disease?
It gives me hope. It really does. It was funny one day, someone said to me how good I looked, and
you look great.
Home.
I wouldn't
Thank
know.
you. Thank you. And I went home and I said that in front of my daughter, who's 22, and she says, "Mom, that's what Earnest Hope's all about. You're giving women hope." And I said, "You're absolutely right." So I try to weekly go to the chemotherapy lab. I know with HIPAA laws and different, we're not supposed to talk to patients, patient confidentiality. But there is a woman named Jennifer at the Lattimore Drive Chemo Lab, and she also is a facilitator at our Gilda's Club meetings. So I give her a tote full of comfort bags to give to patients, and I just had a woman write to me thanking me so much, and I went and met her on Monday, and her and I just sat and talked for half an hour and bonded, and it's just so nice to know that you're not alone. This disease isn't going to kill you. Right. You're going to, who knows, tomorrow we may walk out the door and a truck will hit us, but I'm not going to let that ruin my life. I'm going to live every day to the fullest and make other women aware of it, have a positive attitude, and my faith in God has just empowered this whole thing, and it's been wonderful. It's just a trickling effect. What I do today, tomorrow someone else may carry on, and I hope so, because the more women that know to ask for these different tests, the better we'll all be.
That's great. That's great. And I admire so much how instead of you just giving up or just feeling sorry for yourself, that you've actually used what you're going through as a means to educate people, educate women, and not only women, right? Men are also getting involved. In what way? Probably they're not wearing the teal bracelet yet.
No, no. We have a couple men that even help us make bracelets.
Is that right?
Very much enjoy. I went out to a school just recently, also in Pittsford, the Calkins Middle School. One of the women that goes to Gilda's Club with us, she's an art teacher there, so she got a grant to buy the beads. And we were asked to teach 12 core children how to make the bracelets.
Wow.
I asked if I could have some friends of mine come along, because of the chemo I get neuropathy in my fingertips where I can't always feel things. And she allowed me to bring 2 friends, which was a blessing because 36 children showed up.
Wow.
To learn how to make the bracelets. Isn't that amazing? 12-year-olds, boys, girls, and she told me just the other day that every class, because they were to teach the other students how to make these bracelets, every class was full.
Oh my.
So they not only, the bracelets that they made that day, they had given to me so that I could sell them for Earnest Hope, but we also had a presenter from Camp Good Days and Special Times there, and the children made the bracelets and sold them in their gift shop at the school, which in turn the money went to Camp Good Days.
I see.
So
that's
beautiful. Wonderful. It's just opening so many doors.
That's great. That's great. We'll take a quick break. Our guest today is Erna Lewis, founder of Earnest Hope. We'll be right back.
What do you get when you cross a soprano with a cardiologist? Someone who'll sing their heart out. Just what they're doing at a local community theater. See, the Sopranos Choir in the Cardiologist Hospital contacted their community coalition and started a children's theater. They knew busy kids are less likely to try drugs. And that's music to everyone's ears. What can your group do? Contact your community coalition at helpyourcommunity.org. Because you get more
when you get together.
One day, you were simply struggling to be a dad. The next, you're coping with a diagnosis of childhood cancer. CureSearch.org can help. It's run by doctors and scientists whose research has led to an overall cure rate of 78%. You're not as alone as you feel.
And we're back. I'm Nanette Nokan. You're watching It's About Money. Our special guest today is Erna Lewis, founder of Earnest Hope, which is the Ovarian Cancer Awareness Program. Welcome again. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being here.
Thank you, Nanette.
Before we went on break, you talked about the school program where kids got involved in making the bracelets and so
Yes.
on. Now, you have a circle of friends who help make
yes.
the bracelets. Talk to me about the friends. And
Well, it started out with quite a few women from our church, and then the Gilda's Club. Some women there have become interested, which is very fortunate because a few of those women work at the Highland Hospital. So I had gone in to visit a woman from Gilda's one day, and I said to her, "You have my bracelet on." She's like, "That's not your bracelet. One of the nurses purchased it for me." I said, "Well, she purchased it from a nurse that makes the bracelets with us." So it was wonderful because then I got to meet some of the other patients, and I said, "This is exactly what I'm here to do." So that's why I go up to Highland Hospital. I try at least once a week. One of the nurses there lets me know if there's any patients that need to be visited or wants to talk to someone or would like to receive one of our comfort bags.
Oh, that's
So I go in and
great.
so we have the nurses, we have a number of women from church, we have a couple gentlemen from the Gilda's Club. So it's just outreaching to all kinds of people. It's wonderful.
That's great. So it's just people getting together and just tying it all together and putting a little.
Absolutely.
So mine says hope. So some are different ones say
Yes,
different.
yes, they do.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Now, tell me about any remarkable success stories. I mean, like when you visit the patients who have the disease, I mean, it's great that you could relate to them and they to you, and you give them a bag and they write in their journal. Has there been any cases where it's actually stood in your mind that you say, "I'm glad I'm doing this"?
There is a woman that she belongs to our church. She went to her doctor for a physical, and her mother did pass away many years ago from ovarian cancer. She had asked her doctor for the CA-125. He reluctantly gave it to her, and they did find that she was elevated. Her numbers were elevated. So they went further and did the ultrasound. In turn, she had found a tumor on her kidney.
Oh, wow.
So she came to one of our beating parties and thanked me for this. And I was kind of shocked with that at first. And then she explained that if I hadn't suggested this CA-125, she would have never had it done and then never would have found this tumor.
Sure.
Fortunately, it was not malignant, but she did still have to have a surgery and remove this tennis ball-sized tumor from her kidney. But you never know. I mean, it may save a life.
And it's just the presence of mind, just the awareness.
Absolutely,
that it's there. And that's
absolutely. You know your own body. I mean, my doctor kept telling me, I was getting bloated and I felt like I was 10 months pregnant. And they kept sending me for blood work, unfortunately not the right ones. And then one day I couldn't eat. I was like, I just can't eat. You know, send me for whatever tests you have to send me for. So they sent me to the hospital for a CAT scan. And 2 days later called me with the results stating that I had ovarian cancer. Well, I was very ignorant to that. You know, they're like, well, we'll hook you up with an oncologist. I'm like, what's an oncologist? I thought, you know, they go in, do a hysterectomy. I have 4 children. I don't need it anymore. You know, take it. I was so ignorant to the whole thing. And I thought, you know, I went just that September, and this was in May. I went for my pap smear. I had my mammogram. You know, there shouldn't be any reason for me to worry.
Right.
I was devastated, totally devastated. So a year and a half later, yes, now I do have a better frame of mind. I have brought faith in God more into my life. I live each day as the best I can. I am going for a clinical trial up at Roswell, which I hope one day will help more women and men, actually. It's for either disease. It's we just had a man with lung cancer going through it. So I just keep pressing forward and letting people know. I was mentioning earlier that I went to the dentist today and they saw my bracelet and it just brought up the conversation. I mean, that's what we're here for. They used to say cancer was a taboo word, you know, people didn't like to bring it up. I think it needs to be brought up. If we don't talk about it, how are we going to be educated? How are we going to know what to look for?
Sure, sure. And the more it's discussed, in a fun way.
Absolutely.
It's not like such a, like you said, a taboo subject. You
Absolutely.
know? So actually one could be wearing a ton of these and really get a lot of attention.
Yes. My friend Rayanne does. She wears 3 or 4 of them.
Sure. Well,
sometimes we have to check her purse because we're like, did you pay for that? Because she'll have her whole arm full of them.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So we have some larger ones too that women like to wear as ankle bracelets too.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
So either
well,
way.
actually, for change, you know, if people are, you get 21. Is that good? You get a 20 and a 1. It's easy to just.
Absolutely. Yes.
No,
yes.
you're a non-profit organization. Is that right?
I'm not
not
yet.
yet.
I have applied. I am incorporated right now, but
Okay.
we have some paperwork to still fill out to become a nonprofit organization.
Okay. So really,
Yes.
people are buying the bracelet to support the
support.
cause,
Yeah,
not so
absolutely.
much as a tax deduction.
Yes,
So, I mean,
yes.
it's a lot of good things that happen with that.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and
Oh,
people
yes.
give anyway, not for the tax deduction, it's for the goodness that comes out of it. So it's really great. I want to talk a little bit about the goodie bag again. Oh, comfort bag, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
This is really neat that you've put the journal in here. So what
Yes.
is your hope to have women write in the journal?
They can, if they wake up in the middle of the night, they can write down little notes to themselves, what they want to ask the doctor. I know we tease about chemo brain, but a lot of times the chemotherapy makes you a little fuzzy. So when you think of things, write it down. You have different emotions you're going to be going through. If you want to write that down, if you want to write a little note to your family and you feel you may not be here for much longer, it's a great way to just release any endorphins that you know you need to get out. And I especially like it because, like I said, I think of things that I want to ask my doctor or a to-do list. It's really great to have.
So you really took your experience and brought in a comfort bag, the things that would give you comfort during this
Absolutely.
process, and you're saying,
Absolutely.
okay, to the women who go through it, here's some ways to kind of relieve some of the
Yes,
anxiety.
yes.
So I mean, who would think about all these things? I mean, if one never knew anybody who went through chemo, that
Right.
it would be dryness or just feeling self-conscious about.
And I also like to try to bring, like, for instance, today Rayanne's coming with me. My husband went with me a couple weeks ago. My 22-year-old daughter came with me to visit the chemo lab, and then we go over to the hospital. And she said, Mom, they don't have any television in there. She said, they must get bored. And I said, well, that's why we put the CD players in there so they can listen to some music. She said, well, I really think they need something to watch. So I had offered for Earnest Hope to purchase some DVD players, portable DVD players. They said they already had some of those, but if I would like to, we could purchase some DVDs. So we've done that with our profits. We've built a small library in there. I tried to get books that were encouraging, not depressing.
Sure.
Because when I first was going through it, I read Gilda Radner's book, which I wouldn't suggest to anyone because she went through an awful ordeal before they finally diagnosed her with the cancer.
I see.
So we try to keep things upbeat. And I'm not saying that you're always going to be upbeat because, I mean, even naturally we're not.
Sure.
But to try to keep things in a positive flow because I feel stress and depression, really the disease eats on that. So if you try to stay in a positive manner and nobody knows when their next day will be.
Sure.
So.
And certainly you've done that for yourself, and
I've
you're
tried.
so positive
I've tried.
and the difference you've made in people's lives.
Thank you.
I think that's really great. Now, talk to me about the financial aspect of putting this goodie bag together. Are you Avon person?
My Avon, yes, my Avon lady is wonderful. She, I'll order them when they're on sale in the Avon book,
Okay.
and then she'll just give it to me at her cost.
I see.
We have a woman that I met through Gilda's that she was making these hats for us. I go up to Roswell, and my clinical nurse, she said her aunt is 92 and loves to crochet and knit, so she made some of those for us.
May she live to at least 110.
Absolutely. We purchased the water bottles, and it has our Earnest Hope
Sure, in the right
on
colors.
it.
Yeah.
The stress balls, I just, I got online because, it's always something nice to play with.
So you're looking for the best bargain so that the money that you
Absolutely.
raise for the bracelets
Right.
can buy as many of these products
And
as
we're hoping
available.
research also. If we get a nice chunk of money, we'd love to put it towards a research project. I know I said I go to Roswell, but I'm sure there's plenty of things going on right here in Rochester.
Sure. Oh, that's really great. Now, if somebody wanted to contact you, how should they do that?
Erna1@rochester.rr.com. That's my email address, and
Okay.
I'd be more than happy to write back to anyone.
Okay, so erna1@rochester.rr.com.
Yes.
And we'll post that on our screen. And
Okay.
then get in touch with you, call you because you've got your phone number and the bracelet. So people can
Yes.
really email you and say, send me
Yes.
some bracelets, here's my
Yes.
money, and
Yes.
be able to earn us.
One of the women that helps out with making the bracelets also, she has I believe 22 stores now, so they are in most of the Curves.
Oh,
because we feel women, go for fitness, so they're in most of the Curve stores in Spencerport, Greece, Gates, I believe also. There's a couple different coffee shops. I know Arena's, the floral shop, Rockcastle in Greece, they have them.
Actually, I was at Arena's and saw them there.
Yeah, Kathleen is wonderful. She'll stop in a little store and tell the story, and they'll let us put some bracelets in there. So.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
That's really good. So now, how do you organize all the collecting the money and all that? You just bring the bracelets and then know that you dropped off 50 bracelets.
It's more or less trust.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I just want to know if one of our viewers is interested in partaking in your program. And
that'd be wonderful. Have her email me or him. And we try to meet once a month. With this being December, we decided, Christmas and all the holiday hustle bustle, but we try to meet once a month. We usually sit around with a glass of wine and some munchies, and then we just get busy. And whenever somebody gets tired or they can't get the elastic through the little hole anymore, then we break up.
Okay.
But it's very fun. It's very fellowship, and we just communicate very well together.
Yeah, I mean, it's really gearing towards healthy living.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think the conversation is important, and then the hope and then the goodness that's brought to other people's lives, and just it's just so impressive. So I'm so glad.
It's just a whirlwind.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't really do this with that idea that, I mean, you just did it because your friend wanted to wear something to remember. So what a great friend you have there.
I know.
Marketing.
Yes.
And then you've got all these friends that put all the bracelets together, and then it's just mushroomed into this delightful program. So now I know there's some brochures, for example, that some pharmaceutical companies have put together for you. Oh, is it for you, or it's just been there because of September?
They've been there, yes.
Okay. And then they support you by giving you some documents or some
I could call
pamphlets?
some different drug reps, and they'll try to get me different brochures, or if I see something out there, they try to get them for me. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So in addition to the comfort bag, you also are trying to do a library of the DVDs and stuff like that.
Right, at the chemo office.
Yeah, just make people smile and laugh and
Absolutely.
forget about what they're working, what they're going through. Hard to do that.
It's very hard. I mean, it's always there in your mind, but because ovarian cancer does not discriminate against age, race. It just hits whoever.
Right.
So I've heard of cases of someone 17 to 75 that can get this disease. So just pay attention to your body and your signs, and just know how you feel. If you don't feel right, push. Because it's your health, it's your life.
Yeah,
so
that's right. Yeah,
you have to advocate for it.
Right, don't be bashful about it, and this
Absolutely
kind of
not.
program helps you
Absolutely.
know about it. So
Yes.
that's great. So actually, even though you're taking less money than $7, in some cases you're taking more than $7.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
and certainly
Some
can
people
buy
will
more
hand
and
a 10 and they'll say, keep the change.
Oh, nice.
So,
Very
yes,
nice.
yes.
Well, I wish you the very best.
Thank
This
you,
is
Nana.
really terrific.
Thank you for letting us get the word out.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's good for women. It's good for our community, for people to
Yes.
think about, being healthy and so on.
Absolutely.
So. And thank you, our audience. Thank you for joining us today. Our guest is Erna Lewis, founder of Erna's Hope. We're here today to talk to you about ovarian cancer. And I hope you support, and by emailing her and also buying some of these bracelets. Until next time, my name is Nanette Nokan. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, please email Nanette at nnocon@aol.com. Following production was produced through Penfield Community Television in Penfield, New York.